Mr. Charles was a very rich man. He lived in a big house in the city. He was proud of his success. He had everything a man could want, a beautiful wife named Emily, and soon twins were coming into their life. Charles and Emily had waited a long time for this moment. Everyone in their family was excited. The house was full of joy and hope. The day finally arrived when Emily went to the hospital. The nurses and doctors were ready to help her. Charles stayed by her side, holding her hand. "We will have 2 beautiful babies," Charles said, smiling. Emily felt nervous but happy. She dreamed of holding her babies in her arms. The hospital room was filled with family and friends. Everyone talked about how the twins would look just like their parents. Maybe both would have Emily's brown hair and Charles's light skin. But nature had a surprise waiting. The doctor helped Emily during the long labor. The first baby was born, a little boy with white skin just like his parents. Everyone smiled and cheered. Then, a moment later, the second baby came into the world. But when the doctor showed the baby, the room went quiet. The second baby was black. No one expected this. Charles froze. His eyes grew wide. He could not believe what he was seeing. Emily looked surprised too, but she smiled warmly at her new babies. She held both babies close to her chest. The nurses whispered quietly, confused by the unusual situation. The doctor looked down and stayed silent. He was not sure what to say. How could one mother have twins with different skin colors? Emily looked lovingly at both babies. She did not care about the skin color. To her, they were perfect. She touched the black baby's tiny hand gently. "You are my son," she said softly. Then she looked at Charles, hoping he would feel the same, but Charles sat back, silent and shocked. He did not smile. His face showed confusion and fear. The family members in the room exchanged nervous looks. No one spoke. The joy of the birth turned into a heavy silence. Charles's mind was racing. He thought, "How is this possible? Did something happen? Is this really my baby?" He wanted to ask questions, but the words stuck in his throat. Emily saw the pain in Charles's eyes but stayed strong. She wanted to protect her babies no matter what. Later, when the nurse took the babies for a checkup, Charles finally stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the city lights but could not calm his thoughts. In his heart, he felt a storm of emotions, fear, confusion, and something else he did not want to admit: doubt. Emily came to stand beside him. "Charles," she said gently, "they are our children. I love them both. You must too." Charles did not answer. He looked away. That night, the house was quiet. The babies slept in their crib, peaceful and unaware of the tension around them. Emily stayed awake, watching the twins. She felt a strong love for them. But she also worried about Charles. Would he accept both babies, or would the difference in their skin color change everything? The next morning, Charles avoided the twins. He stayed busy with phone calls and meetings. Emily felt lonely. She wished Charles would hold her hand, smile at her, and say everything was okay. Days passed, but Charles stayed cold. He did not look at Maya, the black baby, the same way he looked at her brother, Michael. At the hospital, doctors did tests. To make sure everything was normal, they found nothing unusual. Emily's pregnancy was healthy. The twins were perfect, just different. Emily told Charles about the medical report. "We don't know why they look different," she said, "but they are both ours. Please try to love them equally." Charles nodded but said nothing. At home, the tension grew. The house that once held joy was now filled with quiet sadness. One afternoon, Emily took the twins to the park. People stared at Maya, some whispered and pointed. Emily felt her heart ache for her daughter. She held Maya close and whispered, "You are special, my love. Don't listen to them." Back at home, Charles sat alone. He thought about the future. Could he accept Maya? Could he love her like he loved Michael? That night he dreamed of his own childhood. He remembered how much he wanted to be loved. Suddenly, he felt a pain in his chest. Was he losing his family before it even began? The next morning, Charles looked at Emily and the twins again. This time, something inside him began to change, but he was not ready to say it yet. The story was just beginning. The family faced a challenge greater than money or power. The test of love and acceptance. What would happen next? Would Charles open his heart, or would the difference in skin color create a divide he could not cross? The answer was hidden, the days to come. Days passed since the twins' birth, but the house felt colder than before. Mr. Charles, the millionaire, was still quiet and distant. He spent most of his time in his study, behind heavy doors that closed him off from Emily and the babies. Emily tried hard to keep the family together. She loved both Michael and Maya equally. She dressed them in matching clothes, sang lullabies to them both, and kissed their small heads before bedtime. But deep inside, she felt the growing distance between her and Charles. One afternoon, Emily gently placed the twins in their stroller and went for a walk in the garden outside their mansion. The sun was warm, but the smiles on her face hid the worry in her heart. Michael giggled happily as Emily pushed the stroller, but Maya stared around quietly, her big black eyes full of wonder and a little sadness. Emily wondered if Maya could feel the difference in how her father treated her. Was her skin color making her less loved? That evening, Charles finally came to see the babies. He held Michael in his arms, smiling softly as the boy reached up to touch his father's face. But when Emily handed Maya to Charles, he looked away. His hands trembled slightly and his smile disappeared. Emily felt a sharp pain in her chest. She knew Charles loved Michael, but was he afraid to love Maya? "Charles," Emily said softly, "she is your daughter too. Please try to hold her." Charles hesitated, then took Maya gently. For a moment, the baby reached for his face and something in Charles's heart stirred. But the next day, Charles was back to his cold self. He spent hours in meetings and left the babies to Emily. Emily's friends noticed her sadness. One day, her best friend Anna came to visit. Anna looked at Emily and asked, "Is Charles okay? You seem worried." Emily sighed. "I don't know what is wrong with him. He loves Michael, but he acts like Maya is different." Anna took Emily's hand. "Maybe Charles needs time. This is new for him, but you are strong. You must keep loving both babies and be patient." Emily nodded but felt lonely. Meanwhile, at the office, Charles faced pressure too. His business partners whispered about the twins. Some questioned if Maya was really his child. One man even suggested that Emily had been unfaithful. Charles was shocked and hurt by these rumors, but he did not want to believe them. He wanted to trust Emily. Yet, the whispers made him doubt. At night, Charles sat alone thinking. He remembered how he had built his empire from nothing. He was a man of facts and control. But now, life had given him something he could not understand. He looked at pictures of the twins on his phone. Michael's smiling face was easy to accept, but Maya's innocent eyes confused him. He thought, "How can this be my daughter? How can she look so different?" Charles knew he needed answers, but where could he find them? One day, Emily invited her family to visit. They came from far away to see the new babies. They were happy and full of love. Charles watched as the family embraced Maya and Michael. His mother held Maya tightly and smiled. "She is beautiful," his mother said softly. "She is family." Hearing this, Charles felt a little comfort. Maybe his family would help him accept Maya. Later, Emily sat with Charles. "We should take a DNA test," she said gently. "It will show that both babies are yours. Maybe then you will feel better." Charles agreed. He wanted to believe, but the doubt was still there. A few days later, the test results came. Both babies were his. The lab confirmed it without any doubt. Charles held the papers in his hand. He looked at Emily, then at the babies. But acceptance was not easy. That night, Charles had a dream. He saw himself as a boy playing in a park. A little girl came to him, her skin dark like Maya's. She smiled and held his hand. In the dream, Charles felt happy and free. He woke up with tears in his eyes. The next morning, Charles did something he had not done before. He picked up Maya and held her close. Emily smiled and watched as Charles whispered softly to the baby, "You are my daughter. I love you." For the first time, hope grew in their home, but the journey was not over. The outside world was still watching. The whispers and stares would not stop easily. Could Charles truly open his heart? Could love overcome fear and doubt? The story was far from finished. Life went on, but tension still filled the mansion. Charles tried his best to be a good father to both Maya and Michael. Emily stood by his side, strong and loving, but questions and doubts still lingered in Charles's heart. One evening, Charles was working late in his study. The rain tapped softly on the window. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. It was Dr. Simmons, the doctor who had helped Emily during the twins' birth. "Charles," Dr. Simmons said carefully, "there is something important you need to know." Charles looked up, curious and worried. Dr. Simmons took a deep breath and continued, "The twins' birth was unusual. The chances of having twins with different skin colors are very rare, but it can happen." Charles nodded slowly. Dr. Simmons pulled out a medical file. "The truth is, Emily's eggs were fertilized by 2 different sperm from 2 different fathers." Charles's eyes widened. "What? How is that possible?" Dr. Simmons explained. "It's a rare natural event called superfecundation. It means Emily had twins, from 2 fathers." Charles sat back, stunned. "This explains why one baby looks like you and the other does not," Dr. Simmons said gently. Charles felt a mix of emotions: shock, confusion, and relief. He looked at the file again. "So, both babies are hers, but only one is mine." Dr. Simmons nodded. "Yes, but both babies are loved and precious." Charles left the room, his mind racing. When he returned to the nursery, he saw Emily holding Maya close. He sat beside her and took her hand. "Emily, I just learned something important." Emily looked at him, waiting. Charles told her what Dr. Simmons had explained. Emily smiled softly. "I wanted to tell you, but I was afraid." Charles took a deep breath. "This changes everything, but it also doesn't." He looked at Maya. "And Michael sleeping peacefully? They are both our children in heart," he said. Emily smiled. "Love is what matters most." That night, Charles thought about the future. He realized that his love for Maya and Michael was unconditional, but the secret made him worry about what others might say. Next day, Charles invited his close family to the mansion. He wanted to tell them the truth. When everyone gathered, Charles stood up and spoke clearly. "There is something you all need to know about the twins." He explained the rare situation. Some family members were shocked. Others whispered quietly. Charles felt the weight of their judgment, but Emily stood by his side and supported him. She said, "We are one family. Love does not care about color or biology." Slowly, some family members nodded. Others stayed silent. Charles knew this was only the beginning. Outside, news of the unusual twins began to spread. Reporters called the mansion. Charles and Emily faced questions from strangers. "How did this happen? Are you sure both babies are yours?" The couple stayed strong. Charles gave a statement. "Our family is about love and acceptance." Emily added, "We will protect our children no matter what." But some people were not kind. Social media, filled with comments and rumors. Charles felt the pressure. One day Maya asked, "Daddy, why do people say bad things about me?" Charles hugged her tightly. "Some people are afraid, but you are perfect just the way you are." Maya smiled bravely. Charles promised himself to shield his family from the storm. He began planning a special event to celebrate the twins and their unique story. Charles hoped this would change minds and hearts, but deep down he feared the challenges were far from over. The day of the special event arrived. Charles and Emily wanted to show the world that love is stronger than prejudice. They invited friends, family, and the media to their big garden party. It was a bright, sunny day, with flowers blooming everywhere. Maya and Michael, dressed in matching clothes, played happily in the garden. They didn't understand all the attention but felt safe with their parents. Charles stood at the podium, ready to speak to the crowd. His heart was beating fast. He looked at Emily, who smiled and gave him strength. He began, "Thank you all for coming. Today, I want to share something very important. My family is different and some people don't understand us yet. But love does not care about skin color or biology." He pointed to Maya and Michael. "These two are my children, both beautiful, both precious. I want the world to accept them for who they are." The crowd was quiet. Some smiled, some nodded, but others looked unsure. Suddenly, a reporter shouted, "Mr. Charles, how do you explain the difference between your twins?" Charles took a deep breath. "It's a rare miracle called superfecundation. It means twins can have different fathers. It does not change my love for them." A woman from the audience whispered loudly, "But they don't look like they belong in the same family." Emily stepped forward and said, "Families come in all shapes and colors. Love is what matters." Maya and Michael held hands, sensing their parents' courage. After the speech, many guests came to congratulate the family. They praised Charles and Emily for their honesty and strength. But not everyone was kind. Some people wrote harsh comments online, calling the family names and questioning their values. Charles felt the pain of these words but stayed strong for his children. He told Emily, "We must protect them from hate. We will teach them to be proud of who they are." Emily nodded. "Yes, we will raise them with love and confidence." Days passed and the story spread around the world. People began to talk more openly about families and love beyond appearances. A famous talk show invited Charles and Emily to share their story. "On live television," Charles said. "Every child deserves love and respect. Our story is proof that families are not about looks but hearts." Millions of viewers were touched by their words. Maya and Michael watched from home, proud of their parents. One night, Charles found a letter from an anonymous person. The letter said, "Your story gave me hope. Thank you for showing the world true love." Charles smiled and showed the letter to Emily. She said, "This is why we keep going, for the love and hope we give to others." But challenges still waited. Some people refused to accept the family. Charles and Emily knew the road ahead would not be easy, but together they were ready to face whatever came their way. After the public event, things changed for Charles and his family. Some people supported them, but others still judged and criticized. It was hard for Charles to see his children hurt by the outside world. At school, Maya faced whispers and cold looks from other kids. Sometimes they asked hurtful questions. One day, a boy said loudly, "Why is your skin different from your brother's? Are you really twins?" Maya felt sad and ran to the principal's office. The principal listened carefully and promised to talk to the students about kindness and respect. Meanwhile, Michael, who was younger, didn't understand why some children avoided him. He just wanted to play and be happy. Emily tried to comfort both children. "You are special, and nothing will change that. We are proud of you." Charles wanted to protect his family, but felt powerless against the world's harshness. He spent many nights thinking about how to help his children grow strong. One afternoon, Charles met with a counselor who worked with families facing difficult situations. The counselor said, "The world can be cruel, but love and patience can help your children overcome pain." Charles decided to create a safe space for Maya and Michael, where they could learn to love themselves and each other. He hired a tutor who specialized in emotional support for children. Slowly, Maya began to smile again. She learned to answer questions with pride and kindness. Michael grew more confident playing with other kids. But the biggest challenge came from within the family. Charles's own parents could not accept Michael. They openly showed dislike, saying things behind closed doors. Emily was hurt but stayed strong. She reminded Charles, "Our children need us. We must stay united." Charles realized that changing minds even in his family would take time. He invited his parents for a serious talk. "I love all my children," Charles said firmly. "You must learn to accept them too." His parents looked uncomfortable but agreed to try. The family's journey was far from over. Each day brought new struggles and small victories. Charles and Emily focused on teaching Maya and Michael about love, courage, and hope. They wanted their children to believe in themselves no matter what others said. One night, while tucking Maya into bed, Emily whispered, "You are a shining star. Never forget that." Maya smiled and hugged her mother. Charles stood by the door, watching his family. He knew the world was not perfect, but with love, they could face anything together. Time passed, and slowly the world around Charles's family began to change. The story of the twins, Maya and Michael, touched many hearts. People started to understand that love is stronger than skin color. Maya and Michael grew older and stronger. They learned to be proud of who they were. They laughed, played, and dreamed together like any other siblings. One day, Charles received an invitation to speak at a big conference about family and acceptance. At first, he was nervous, but then he remembered the journey they had been through. When the day came, Charles stood on the stage in front of hundreds of people. He looked at the audience and saw many faces full of hope and curiosity. He began, "My story is not just about me. It is about love, family, and the courage to accept differences." He told the story of his twins, how one was white and the other black, and how it had changed his life. Charles shared the struggles they faced, the hard words, the judging looks, the pain from even close family. But through it all, he said, we never stopped loving each other, and that love made us stronger. The audience listened quietly, some wiping tears away. After the speech, many people came forward to thank Charles. They shared their own stories of struggle and hope. At home, Emily hugged Charles tightly. "You did a great job. You are helping many people." Maya and Michael watched their parents with pride. A few weeks later, the local school invited Maya and Michael to speak at a student event. They talked about being different but equal. Maya said, "We are the same inside. We love each other, and that's what matters." Michael smiled and added, "Everyone is special in their own way." Their words inspired many children and teachers. Slowly, even Charles's parents began to change. They saw the love in their grandchildren's eyes and realized how wrong their judgments had been. One afternoon, Charles's mother said, "I was wrong before. I see now that love is what matters." His father nodded and hugged the twins warmly. The family was finally healing. Charles and Emily decided to start a foundation to support families like theirs, families who face challenges because of differences. They wanted to spread a message of love, hope, and acceptance to the whole world. As they looked at Maya and Michael playing in the garden, Charles felt deep gratitude. He whispered, "Thank you, my children. You taught me what family really means." Emily smiled and joined him. "Our journey was hard, but love brought us here." The sun shone brightly on their happy family. The twins ran hand in hand, ready to face a future full of hope. And Charles knew, no matter what the world said, love would always win.